My longest range driver that I'm throwing right now are the Sheriffs. I've been using Lucid and I just put the Fusion in. I think the difference is very minimal, so it's really just a preference on what plastic type you like the most. What I use the Sheriff for is really long range drives. So if I really crank on it, it'll turn right and then hyzer back at the end and allow the max distance.
I actually have beat this disc up so much that it's my distance roller. It's my backhand, sidearm. This is pretty much a roller disc. I've beat it up so much, and it's one of the best rollers I've ever used. I can throw the Sheriff flat or hyzer and give it enough air to where it hits the ground on angle and it just stands up and it always comes back. I've thrown some really far rollers with this. Hole 1 at Beaver State on the West Milo, or Milo West, I guess is what it's called. I threw this off the tee both rounds, threw over 400-foot rollers down the tunnel, ended up right in the spot where I wanted to be. So, love the Sheriff for rolling.
I have 3 Sheriffs in my bag right now. They all do something a little bit different. I've got a, let's start with the Lucid. This one's actually relatively overstable for me. It's 167 or 168. But for whatever reason, it's more of a meat hook for me, but really glidey. So I use this for distance shots that I know I want to get left. I kind of use this interchangeably with my Biofusion Defender. This will fight, the Defender will fight headwind more than a Sheriff will. But I use them pretty much for the same thing, and they always have a lot of action, skipping and stuff on the ground when they land. So don't really use them for sidearm that much, but for a reliable backhand I will. And then I have 2 Fusion Sheriffs. This one's been in my bag for a little bit. It's a 174, but man, does this thing glide. I use this for almost all my distance shots, especially on windy days. And I guess this one's a little bit lighter, but it's a little more stable, so I just haven't really beat it up that much. But these Fusion Sheriffs just cruise. They go so far, they're reliable for me, and it's my go-to distance driver right now.
If I need just straight out distance, I'm going to go with the Lucid Sheriff. These guys are, when I first started to throw them, I was afraid they were going to be a little too understable. But what it allows me for, and they are on the understable side of things, but I can throw it on a hyzer and get it to flip up flat if I put enough hyzer and just ride. Or if I want to have a flex shot out of it, I can give it a little less hyzer, and this thing will cruise for days and days and days. The glide on this for a high-speed disc is fantastic.
Got a wider rim, but not the widest rim that I've ever felt. And this Fusion one is more understable. Put it on a little bit of hyzer and let it tip up or even turn to the right a little bit. I can use it for long turnovers, really long rollers if I need to, but most of the time I just use it for air shots. And then I got this one from Eric McCabe, as you can see here on the back. Several of my discs actually are gifts from Eric because he throws a little bit faster than I do, so some of these discs don't work for him, but they work for me. So this is a Lucid Sheriff. It's got a nice little pop to it, and this is a little bit more stable. So just really good for straight shots that need to tip up a little bit, but still finish back to the left. That's what I like the Sheriff for.
It's a fantastic disc for everybody. It's kind of like my Ballista. It's understable for me, so I throw it for a lot of big turnovers, some sidearms. I also throw it for my roller. It's my roller disc, my long range roller. Because it's fast, it holds that line really well. It doesn't turn too fast, it doesn't fade out too quick, so I'm discovering that it's a really good rolling disc for me. So if you have a bigger arm and have a lot of torque, check the Sheriff out as a roller.
I carry a Lucid Sheriff simply for sidearms. Very rarely will I throw it for big turnover backhand shots, but I love throwing this thing for sidearms, nice and smooth. It goes really straight. It's like a straighter convict, a faster convict on a sidearm. So definitely big fan of the Sheriff. Goes a long way with a little bit of effort.
I love the Sheriff. It's a little more fickle than my Trespass. If I'm going to flip a disc accidentally, it's more likely going to be the Sheriff, so I try to throw it in just ideal conditions. I have a Lucid and I have a Fusion. My Fusion has a Woody on it. That's kind of cool. One of my favorite Sheriffs. This Fusion is actually from the Line in the Pines tournament. Shout out to Marcus Rawls. This is the disc that I can probably throw the furthest of any disc in my bag, but I don't throw it near as often as I do the Trespass.
I've got a Fusion Sheriff in the bag with Drew Gibson stamp and a nice Biofusion Sheriff. These, they they come out of the bag quite a bit on bigger, longer, more open style courses. Really like to throw these things on a nice hyzer with some height, and every single time it's gonna hold that right line, and if I get the height right on them, it finishes back to the left. It's a little unpredictable seeing as how it's a speed 13, but man, can I get a lot of distance out of this disc when I throw it correctly. This is actually the longest flying disc that I've ever thrown in my career, and I love the biofusion plastic, I love the fusion plastic, and I just can't say enough good things about the Sheriff.